An is from California, a first-time caller. What's up, An? How are you?
I'm okay.
Nice.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
hmm
You say,
Um,
what do you want to say?
well, I was just gonna say that I have no problem with white people, but it's like seeing how it just has that sort of like that sort of vibe with people. It doesn't sit well with certain people. So knowing that, like,
What
would it
doesn't
really be?
what doesn't sit well with people?
Well, I mean, the whole White History Month. I mean, because white history isn't necessarily the most like peaceful history, is it? It's
Yeah,
more
it is.
like,
Yeah, it is. It's one of the most peaceful histories.
well, okay, but I mean, for example, the slavery and the segregation
Uh-huh.
and the whipping and the hangings. I mean, that's not
Those
peaceful, is it?
yeah, those were peaceful for the most part.
So
The hang
hanging people is peaceful?
I mean, that's what you have to do to keep law and order
Well, I mean, okay, so now how come you don't hang people now?
because
Like,
we
can't they?
don't because people don't believe in law and order anymore.
So, oh, okay, well,
We have more crime and more discord today than perhaps any other time in history, except for obviously the Civil War when 600,000 whites died, white Americans
yeah,
died. Rest in peace. But
yeah.
yeah, don't just assume that it was as bad as what they pretend.
Um,
There's more to white history than just slavery and hangings and stuff like that. But don't
so,
even think that those things are as bad as they're pretending. I'm sure that there was some evil hangings that were unjust. There's got to be, right? There's always injustice throughout the world, right? And I'm
hmm
sure that there was some slave masters who may have been unjust. Many of them were just. Many of them were honorable slave masters who treated their slaves right.
hmm
But you don't want to have this brainwashing idea that, oh, slavery was universally an evil and all the hangings were all evil. Many of the hangings were in response to a crime that was committed, allegedly, right?
right,
They were extrajudicial killings, so I don't support them. I support uh, at least a trial, a fair trial, and a
right.
speedy trial, and swift justice. If he's innocent, you let him go. If he's not innocent, and it's a capital crime, and back then life was hard. You steal a cow,
Yeah.
that could mean death for the family whose cow you stole. So, theft and all that stuff, those were serious crimes. Rape and all those things, life was way tougher for the slave masters even than us who live better than kings. You know, we live better than kings, if you think about it. So people
Because
are
I'm
spoiled today looking down on these self-righteously on these people from the past that we have no idea what we're looking at. We need to be checking ourselves. You know what I mean?
right. Because I have no problem with the good part of white history.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about like, because some people might take things like over the top. Okay, well, it's White History Month, then therefore we have the right to go and beat up black people or something like that. That's what I'm worried about, the violent part of it. Not the
Oh,
good part.
that's white people are the least likely, besides Asians, to commit violent crimes. So don't worry about that. You don't want to be a
Uh,
mama in terms of like worrying how some people may take something to an extreme because that's not what we're about. We're not about
okay,
going to hurt anybody. We're about
okay.
love for white people and love for everybody. Does that make sense?
That's cool. Yeah, that means yeah, that's cool.
How do you spell your name?
Thank.
AHN? Is that how you spell it?
AHN.
Nice. Yeah, so it's about love for white people. White people haven't done anything to be hated other than many of us have been weak. And weakness invites bullying. And so whites are being pushed around and kicked around and in that sense it's whites' fault. But
Um,
um but that's out of weakness. It's not out of guilt for being cruel. Whites have been the least cruel in many cases, but they're being accused of stuff that's not true.
um,
And that's why I say
Okay.
this white history. It's people say, oh, every day is white history, but it's anti-white history. And it's not just that it's anti-white. It's not that they just randomly hate white people. They hate whites because whites are standing in the way of the destruction of the country by way of the communism, this power grab. People have an egotistical attachment to an ideology that many whites and many Christians and many just sensible people of all races and men, we plainly see you guys are not making good decisions. You guys are for injustice in the name of justice. So more whites are standing in the way of it, and that's why whites are under attack.
So it's kind of like the white people are keeping the balance
Yeah,
in the
they
country.
are. Like if you look at the voting patterns, just as one example of many, right? This is just a
Mhm.
symptom. Voting is not the end all, but it is a symptom, right? White men voted majority for Trump, whereas the POCs and the women voted majority for against Trump. And that's just one example of many of how whites tend to be more reasonable and keep the country on a little bit more of a reasonable path, whereas they are unreasonable and pushing evil and destruction
Uh,
and chaos, you know? Are you white?
no, I'm not white.
What are you, if you don't mind my asking?
California.
You're Californian? Nice.
Hmm.
That's cool. And you said you don't have a problem with whites, and honestly, most people don't. They just make up a problem in their heads because really their problem, if they have a problem, and it's not even their real problem, is with their
Yeah.
parents. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Lives Matter people, they have bad parents. They are miserable, can't pinpoint their misery, but they're told to blame it on white people. Oh, you can't get a. There are people who are told by even black preachers that white people don't want you to succeed. White people can't stand that black people they had their Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was not the problem. That was not the source of the tension. White people actually like when blacks are upstanding. We actually love it when blacks are upstanding and enterprising. We just don't like it when they're supporting evil and when they're self-destruction and destroying other races too. That's
Yeah.
the problem. So people are just
Um,
blind.
you know,
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking? How old are you?
um, 30.
Nice. Well, it's great to hear from you.
Yes.
So are
Oh,
you,
can
yeah,
I ask another question?
sure.
Do you think that the Biden administration or any future president will make White History Month like a national holiday, or is it just like
You know, I
it
don't
has to be
know.
like a personal thing?
I don't know. I cannot predict the future. Things have changed dramatically when I did not predict them to change dramatically, for the good in some cases. For example, I never predicted Trump coming out of nowhere. He didn't exactly come out of nowhere, but I didn't predict that Trump would come on the scene or that a whole lot of young people would be waking up and supporting what's right or anything like that. And so you never know. And who knows, maybe Biden will, but I don't really I'm not holding my breath on Biden,
Um,
but I'm also not going to stop like calling him evil for you know, because you don't give up fighting for what's right. That's
right,
for sure. It's not
right,
up to me though what
right.
happens.
Cool.
Yeah. So do you support White History Month now or
I mean,
not?
I support White History. I mean, I just wanted really more like a clarification sort of thing like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I support White History Month. I just wanted like like just kind of like, well, I'm not really sure, but now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it's cool. You know.
Right. I think there's a brainwashing that takes place where people have a fear of something that it has not even materialized
Yeah.
because
Right.
there is this scaremongering going on even from the FBI and other places that white supremacist terrorism is the primary threat in America. And it's not true. there's some whites who may get angry and do evil. There's like a handful of them, right? And you don't want to be angry. You don't want to be evil. But that's a scaremongering thing meant to stir up people against whites and stir up whites against other people. It's a divide and conquer tactic against what's right. So beware of the imagination and stuff, false ideas that get planted.
Right.
Anyway, it's great talking with you, An.
Likewise. Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.